So a few days into the new expansion now, hopefully everyone's having a fun time. I was gonna make a mid-range sword video, but then when I built the deck there was like barely any new cards in it, so I thought it wouldn't be appropriate for this sort of expansion release week. So today we're gonna be playing some Evo Abyss, which is a new archetype they actually added in and supported during the set, because a lot of the other classes got like pieces for existing archetypes, but Blood got like Abyss got a whole new archetype, so today we're playing that. So let's look at the deck list we're playing for today first. So this deck list we're playing for today, obviously far from optimized or anything, but I just threw it together and played with it for a while. It felt like okay, definitely feels like there's a lot of room for improvement, but I am not that into this deck. Spoilers I guess, but we'll talk about that later. But yeah, for now this is the deck list we're playing for today. Running a lot of the Evo cards. We're running Mino for removal as well as the skeleton, because we can combo with Nehan. I was like theory crafting on like the Shadow Crypt Memorial and like running even more skeleton generators and stuff, but I felt like Nehan wasn't consistent enough to be worth building that much around. And then Vasaraga is here because he's a body on board that stays on board unless your opponent banishes it, I guess. Honestly, I didn't have much success with him, so I wouldn't really run him if you want to play this deck. I was just testing it out. I saw a few people doing it, so I wanted to try it out and see how it felt. It wasn't really that good for me, so yeah. And then we're just running some Evo payoffs, a lot of healing with Wing Servant because we can combo with Bellial. Her reanimate 1 will summon out the bat, so you can use that to heal, or you can combo with Olivia as well to heal. And on turn 8 or turn 7, if you have the coin, you can coin Wing Servant into Nehan for a ton of healing as well. So yeah, the idea is just to evolve a bunch of followers, get Bellial's Super Skybound Art active, which will do 20 damage to the enemy leader eventually, and then you can start with Guild Elise and other control tools. And if that doesn't work out for you, or if you're running a more if your opponent doesn't have much removal, you don't actually need to rely on that. In this case, you can use Razraga, you can use Congregant, you can use Sandalphon as a finisher, but you can just win on board sometimes with this deck just because you summon a lot of evolved followers as well. So if your opponent doesn't have very good board clear, they might not be able to keep up. And then we just run Lyria for her Enhance 8. It's quite cute. Only 2 copies though, because she's not that good in the early game. This deck loses in the early game sometimes, especially against Sword, so I thought Lyria wouldn't really help that much, so I ran it at 2 copies. So yeah, this is the list we're playing for today. This is just the list I'm playing with. There's definitely more optimized lists out there, so if you are interested, do your own experimentation or build your own list. But yeah, this is the list I'm playing, so let's look at some games. So for our first match for today, we are going against Haven, and we are going second. Against Haven, I just hard search for Bellial because that's usually how you're going to be winning the game against them. Fortunately, did not manage to pick up Bellial here, so we're starting to work from there. Haven has a few decks right now, so we don't really know what it is. Sarisa means this is going to be hard Ward Haven. Obviously, it's not like the most powerful deck in the current format or anything, but it's still experimentation phase for most people, so I guess everyone's experimenting with new decks, so I mean that's part of the fun of the new expansion cycle, right? It's at the start where everyone's experimenting. You don't want to play against Cresthaven and loot sword and spell boost every game like you did last expansion, so yeah, I guess showcasing some of these like less common matchups is a bit better. So here we're just trying to focus on drawing Bellial, so we do play Grand and Jita to draw, and just evolve, manual evolve here. You have a lot of ways to clear followers that don't rely on evil points right now with Bellial, Grand, Congregant is 2 rushes. There's also Bellial's Fanfare, of course, and then there's Ginsetsu and Yuzuki as well, so it's better to prioritize trying to draw a win con over trying to save evil points by using Grand and Cheetahs and damage effect. So here you keep drawing, unfortunately still no Bellial. I guess you could consider running less followers in your deck to make Grand and Cheetahs Fanfare more consistent. That is also something you can consider, but that's not really the concept I'm working with right now, I suppose. My opponent has their Whalebird, so that's a bit annoying for me. I sort of want to annoy them back, so we go ahead and go for the Congregant here. And just super evil and get the rush. Mainly just to clear the wards, because if they're playing Aether next turn, it's going to be quite annoying. Let's go ahead and poke them in the face. Nothing too crazy here. My opponent does unfortunately pull out the Aether as well, and I believe they do get the Galleon. So the Galleon, I don't know how to pronounce her name. I'll just go with Galleon, I guess. Will evolve one of their followers, which is quite scary. Ends up evolving herself, which is honestly comparatively not that bad. We do finally pick up Bellial here, but unfortunately we don't want to use him right now because his Super Skybound is not active yet. So now we just focus on clearing board here. Drop a skeleton just to make hand space, because if you keep track right now, we're actually not about to invoke Senderphone. Oh yeah, but my hand is full, so yeah, we do have to play the skeleton there. And then we can go ahead and make use of Fedial's effect to debuff their followers, so even though we let them live, it's not a big deal. We can just leave them on the board until we are ready to play Bellial and clear it that way. Go ahead and use Mino to clear Vera. Vera's very hard to clear for this deck, so that's what the Mino is for, I guess. And just use Grand to clear. Now that we have Bellial in hand, we just want to focus on getting Evos, and Grand and Cheetah is a way of doing that. Okay, this time we play the skeleton because we're gonna invoke Sandalphon, so we need the hand space. So they will clear our board as well. Here comes the Sandalphon. The crest is quite useful actually, which is quite nice. Just go ahead and line up a bunch of followers here. Just clear out followers. On the evil point, no reason to spend it right now. Getting the bat in the grave will help make a Fedial more valuable later on, so that's why we do summon them out here. Opponent will whip out a second Aether, but they choose not to super evolve it, which I guess makes sense because we're just gonna slam Bellial here anyway, so good choice by them, I suppose. And then we just go ahead and pass here. Since it is against Ward Haven, we don't have to worry about Temple of Repose. Usually against Crest Haven, they are running at least one copy of Temple of Repose. So you sort of need to figure out an answer to that. I think the most reliable one maybe is to find some way to make good use of Bellial Super Evo. But I mean, if you want the most consistent way, it's to run the 5-cost spell that gives them a crest that does damage to them at the end of their turn. But then like, it feels sort of bad to run it right now when there's not that much Crest Haven running around for now. And even then they only run like one copy of Temple of Repose at most, so yeah, I don't really bother, and if they do have Temple of Repose, you just chalk it up to just an unfortunate turn, I suppose. Anyway, from here on, we're just trying to stall out. We are our super evil point, so we can't accelerate Bellial's crest. So for now, we just clear board while healing out as much as we can to make sure we don't die before Bellial becomes active. Just go ahead and use Fedial. And then give at least to clear these followers. So we leave one alive, but again we're like almost full and they don't really have enough burst damage to kill us from here, so don't really have to worry about that too much. There's another John, which is fine. So right now I'm just praying they don't have Temple of Repose. Like they are playing deck that is unlikely to run that many copies of Temple of Repose, so they probably don't, but you know, you never know what they're running at this point. So my opponent drops Sandalphon here. I think they just realized they're dead, so I believe they just concede after this. So yeah, that's it for this game. So our next match here is against Portal. Against Portal, you just hard search Bellial as well. Right now it's Egg, so we don't have to worry too much about the early game, although their early game is a bit more powerful, but it's not like puppet levels of we will die if we don't answer their early game. So we wanted to find Bellial in this matchup because once they get to play Beelzebub, we're basically dead within the next 2 turns, which is definitely too late. So we definitely want to get Bellial as active as fast as possible. Egg Portal is a matchup that you can actually win by board as well, but for now, Bellial is the most consistent if we can find him early, so we go ahead and make that our aim. So earlier on, we just focus on lining up followers to force them to answer our stuff. And we want to get the bats in the grave as well, because eventually we want to reanimate them later, so playing them out now while we have time is pretty good, especially since if you look at our hand, it's all pretty heavy stuff, so we might not find a chance later on. Pick another Wing Servant, which is quite nice. We don't want to use the skeleton, so having a follower to line up alongside a Satyr here is pretty good. And we can heal as well. So far the game is going very well for us. We already have Bellial, got a bunch of early evos active. We already had 3 evolves for Bellial, so we're doing very well here. And my opponent will find their Lishana here, which they will go ahead and evolve. Thanks to lining up a bunch of followers, we get to keep some on board, which means that it's time for Nehan to shine here. You can argue that trading Nehan in instead of the skeleton would have been better because he would have survived the trade. I don't really know which one's better. It depends on what you're trying to play around, I guess. But in this case, I just went with keeping Nehan as active as healthy as possible. And you can see he does manage to survive here because my opponent is conserving that evil point. Obviously, this is not you can't really call this like a misplay from them either. Like, 8 portals evil points are very valuable for Exia after dropping Beelzebub, so that's probably what they're looking at. Let's go ahead and drop Bellial, set out a board as well as get evil count up. You can see Bellial is actually already at Super Skybound, so obviously this game is a super high roll. Since last game was a pretty average roll, I thought it would be nice to showcase a high roll game to show this deck's potential or something. Here my opponent uses Silver to clear my board. Nehan lives again somehow, but he's gonna die to Bellial, so there's that. Since we do have Bellial in hand and we have a bunch of pretty solid control tools with like Grand Gita and Jinsetsu, I figured it's probably safe to just super evolve him. Super evolving Bellial is usually very safe if you have 2 super evos and you have a second one in hand because you can accelerate it so fast. Here my opponent will go ahead and clear my Bellial and I guess draw an X here to protect their face or something, I don't know. But we will just go ahead and respond by just clearing their board. You can also just use Ginsetsu to fanfare and then evo and trade. Honestly, that's probably a bit safer because that play actually heals up, so arguably a misplay, but really I don't think it matters at this point. Like, I don't see it when my opponent wins at this point. So there's the Beelzebub. We will now take 1 more damage. Unfortunately for them, unfortunately my opponent, they are dead. Also, I'm pretty sure Beelzebub's effect works if you use followers that damage yourself too, so keep that in mind. So yeah, anyway, just super evolve Bellial to pop his crest and win the game here. So our last match here is against Dragon. Right now, aggressive variants with ramp and just a bunch of storm cards seems to be very popular, so we mulligan with the early game in mind. Against Dragon, you do not bother going for Bellial. It's just not worth it. You just win by board and control and healing. This is the other thing I was talking about, where this deck can win without going for an OTK with Bellial. You can just like win with like just value cards and healing, like a control style deck. Here we just go ahead and drop the Almeida here just as a board presence that my opponent sort of has to worry about. It makes it hard for them to just drop Zoe here, or Galamute as well to an extent, I guess, since like it just leaves a big 6/6 attack follow on board to punch them in the face with. So I like to think that I prevented my opponent from playing a ramp card here by doing that play, but who knows. Either way, I think it's fairly safe to do that just to make it hard for them. So there's the Liu Feng. If they have a second Liu Feng here, I would probably be quite annoyed, but thankfully they didn't. They go for Congregant here, and actually go for Ward here because they are definitely in the PP range where they can start storming me in the face, and we don't really want to let that happen, so we just go ahead and evolve Congregant here. If you are wondering what happens if they play Wilness here, we just die. Thankfully they didn't, I guess. This deck is very bad at dealing with Wilness. You can consider teching in Reaper's Death Slash for that purpose, but for now I'm not running it. Our main ways of clearing it is Ginsetsu and Bellial. So if you don't see those, kind of screwed. Anyway, there's my opponent's Odin and Orca as well, and they will poke me in the face, which is fine. They're over right now. They're running out on 10 PP, so they're probably gonna look towards like doing like a Zooey chain to kill me at the end of it. So we just want to like sort of nip that in the bud by doing a super evil congregant board, which makes it very, very, very hard for them to drop Zui at this point. And there's the Wilderness. Honestly, I think this card has been performing better than a lot of people, including me, expected it to. Right now it's quite small, so we can actually kill Grand Angita, but unfortunately we don't have Grand Angita in hand, so we go ahead and coin out Ginsetsu here just to clear it. And not get punched in the face for a 10. Opponent will go ahead and drop their Galamew. And use the Fangs of Ardent Destruction as well to clear my Ginsetsu here. They do technically misplay, like they could have kept that 1/1 Orca Rider, I guess. I'm not sure it would have mattered, but you know, it's there. And then we take some damage here. Go ahead and use Lyria's Enhance to draw into our deck more. Olivia as well, and then we can use this Wing Servants to super evolve her bat. This sets up board pressure while healing up as well, which makes their following plays very difficult. So this is another Galamew for my opponent for some reason. And they will use the Fangs of Ardent Destruction. They got quite unlucky here with the where the ping went. They could have full clear my board if the pink went to the bed, I'm pretty sure, so unfortunate for my opponent right for that, I guess. Not sure it would have mattered, we had like so much healing in hand anyway, so yeah, I'm not really sure it would have mattered, but you know, whatever makes the game easier for me. That's my opponent's Garyu, which they will use to clear my board. I guess they choose to prioritize trading here over going face, which makes sense because the bat just heals it back up anyway. I tried finding ways to clear it without Ginsetsu, but unfortunately it just feels like I have to spend Ginsetsu here. We do have one more, so it's not the end of the world if they drop Illness here in response, so there is that. But they just go for Zui here, so I guess they are entering their last ditch effort mode. At this point our game plan is quite easy, we just heal up. And we can sell a board as well, which will make it very uncomfortable for them. And we just heal up by trading. Arguably trading Nehan there instead of the bat would have been better, but who knows really. Maybe here my opponent just goes for another Zui here, but we just heal back at the damage anyway. We go ahead and draw another Nehan here, which will heal us to full. And then my opponent at this point just can't answer this board, so I believe they just concede. So those are all the games I have for you today. Hopefully it gave you some idea of what this deck is capable of. As for my opinion on this deck, I feel like it's like a less proactive version of Mode. Like Mode has like more Storm and like aggressive options. This one obviously does have like similar value ideas with like Congregant and Olivia, stuff like that to pressure on board to push a win without relying on Bellial. But in the end, like some matches you need Bellial to win, but you can't draw Bellial properly because I mean he only has 3 copies and you have to draw him quite early on to get his Super Skybound Art active. So yeah, it's not really my kind of deck, even though I do like evolving a ton of followers. But I guess if this is a deck that interests you, you can give it a try yourself, do some experimentation. Honestly, I do not have very high hopes for this deck in terms of how it will do in the meta as it develops, but hey, if you like Abyss and you like evolving and like you like blowing your opponent up for 20 damage, this is certainly a deck that can do it. So yeah, that's it for today. See you next time. Bye bye.